It seems to me that with every new anime series that comes out in Japan, I always get flooded with questions asking for my thoughts on at least one specific series. Sometimes it's because that particular series was overhyped and people want to know whether or not it's actually worth their time. Other times people just want some validation that their argument about how Kill la Kill is the savior of anime was correct. Glass Reflection top tip: it isn't. Usually I ignore these questions and requests because I like to wait until the entire series is over before being able to watch all of it and then summarize my thoughts in one cohesive whole, as it were. Reactions are one thing, full-on reviews are something completely different. And while this has worked for me in the past, more recently Japan has decided that a lot of these overhyped shows will be finished with absolutely no satisfying conclusion whatsoever. And yes, second seasons do occasionally pop up to help solve the problem, as is the case with Tokyo Ghoul, but we'll get to that. But we still rely on these first seasons to make any show interesting and to draw us in. I don't care if after the first 15 hours of Final Fantasy XIII the game actually gets good. I don't want to slog through that crap. Except I probably will, because I'm a masochist sometimes. So, Tokyo Ghoul. It is a supernatural series produced by Studio Period, directed by Shuhei Morita, and based on the original manga by Sui Ishida. A manga which, thankfully, at the time of this video, has finished its original run, which is good news! While anime endings are not always absolute crap, see Bokurano and Trigun, it does happen to be a particular trend that I would prefer to avoid, even if I never have and never will read the original material. Though, of course, this is only a good thing, assuming that the manga ended on any sort of satisfying conclusion. Yeah. So, without any further ado, ladies, gentlemen, and others, my name is Arcada, and welcome to Glass Reflection today, Tokyo Ghoul. Let's jam finger snap transition! The general thought and appeal of Tokyo Ghoul is similar to that of any given supernatural brawler. So, it's like Dead Man Wonderland, but without the cute girl in the skin-tight jumpsuit that can murder your face off. But what I like is that Tokyo Ghoul actually seems to be taking the definition of the word ghoul back to its original form. If you watch things like Hellsing Ultimate, for example, you might get confused and think that ghoul is just another word used to describe a mindless zombie. But traditionally, ghouls are depicted as monsters that like to live in the dark and have a habit of robbing graves to eat the flesh of the dead. Though the word has also been used to describe someone who has an unhealthy interest in death and disaster. So the entire School Days fanbase. Oh, zing! However, as is traditional in recent media, Tokyo Ghoul attempts to take some sort of supernatural being and make them somehow sympathetic, despite their normally violent tendencies. It does this by taking an ordinary human being, our main character Kaneki, and turning him against his will into a ghoul who now has the desire to eat everyone he knows. Plus side though, being a ghoul gives you some supremely awesome, badass powers, to the point where the lines are blurred between ghouls and what we know to be the modern vampire. The focus of the show is on two things: how our main character handles not being human anymore, and how he deals with fighting the urge to feed on human flesh, which of course disgusts him, while also now having to deal with the world where ghouls are hunted down by the CCG, an organization full of people who think that ghouls are soulless monsters and should be put down, and people who just like the idea of being able to kill things without any repercussions. Of course, what they don't know, or refuse to acknowledge, is that ghouls are not all bad, just a lot of them. Which leads to one of the better parts of Tokyo Ghoul's story, which is the culture of ghouls in general. Stories involving vegetarian-like ghouls who avoid hunting, the common street ghouls who kill to survive, the more high society kind who live for the taste, and of course the psychopathic murder kinds who kill for the sake of killing. What has not been totally explained though, and what has been left up to the viewer's imagination, is why, up until the point where the show actually starts, has there not been a more open war between humans and ghouls? Because it's not like humans don't know or don't believe that ghouls exist. They do! The show hasn't bothered, as of yet, to describe or explain why the world of Tokyo Ghoul, to a human, is almost identical to our world without ghouls. Like, there is no evidence that there are people who avoid roaming the streets, scared for their lives, that there are these demonic beings out there who want to devour them. And also considering the fact that ghouls can hunt during the day if they want to. So it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Granted, you may notice I said, as of yet, the show is not explained. That is because this first season of Tokyo Ghoul ends in medias res, and were the second season not currently airing, as I speak these words, I would be writing off the show as a disappointment overall. As good as this season is, or at least as good as I feel this season is, it doesn't have any sort of conclusion to it. Nothing that makes it feel like the story is over. And if this actually was where we ended it, it would be a massive disappointment. Seriously. But with any luck, the second season will then tie everything up. Hopefully. We'll have to wait and see. Visually, I think the show is pretty good, or at least it would be if I could actually see half the interesting crap that's going on. I realize that for television, depending on the channel and the time that you are airing it on, a particular amount of censorship is necessary, but what annoys me is that when this remains the case with simulcasts. The only slightly interesting thing visually that this censorship provides is that for the times where just blocking a small part of the screen in black won't do because there is blood everywhere, they just invert the colors, so now the blood is neon blue instead of red, because apparently that matters. I'd only be truly impressed with it if they did a better job with the transitions between inverted and not. Like, if, they actually designed the scenes with the invert in mind. But nope, everything is set up so that it'll look perfect on the Blu-rays and crap everywhere else, because, that's the best idea I've ever heard. Now, the soundtrack seems to be following the mindset of smaller, longer, better. Smaller amount of songs, but longer and better songs. As of yet, all that's been released of the official soundtrack is a CD with 5 tracks on it. And while these tracks I don't think cover absolutely everything that was in the show, it certainly sounds like it does. The tracks themselves are long, usually quite a few minutes each, and in the show they get split up and spread out so that no individual song is playing for an extended period of time before switching to either silence for exposition or another part of another song. This is opposed to the regular way of doing soundtracks where you have many tracks that only last maybe about a minute or two for each individual situation and have them replay maybe once or twice depending on what they are. I can't speak for the English dub because there is none as of yet, and hey, I have to save some things for the inevitable video I do of the second season. I can, however, give brief praise to the Japanese dub. Now, while I usually avoid such things because I don't speak Japanese, and it's usually not fair of me to judge them because of that, I can say that I enjoyed, and excuse me as I mispronounce these names, I enjoyed the fact that Natsuki Hanae's performance as the title character Kaneki was much more enjoyable to listen to than the more washboard portrayal of Inaho from Aldnoah Zero. Also, Mamoru Miyano should be in, like, everything. For realsies. So, does Tokyo Ghoul live up to the hype? Hell no. It doesn't end. You guys know me. The ending is paramount. So when I finished that last episode and the show was all like, yep, that's the end, I'm just like, really? I know there's a second season coming out, but really? So yes, there is a second season to Tokyo Ghoul, which instantly makes this infinitely better than any of the shows that don't have second seasons attached to them. Like, what the f***, Batum? Seriously. And now if the second season is anywhere near as good as this one was when it ends, I might be able to give a different recommendation than I am about to. But as of right now, I present Tokyo Ghoul with recommendation of stream it rather than buy, because here's the bottom line. The show is good. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and you should probably watch it. The showing of the Ghoul Society, the interaction between the characters, and the struggle of our main character all make this show something worth watching. But, with just this first season, so much could still go wrong. I hope it does not, but it still could. And now it's time for my usual rundown. At the time of this video, Funimation Entertainment has licensed this show, and it is available on their website for legal streaming with a home video release and dub forthcoming, I would assume. As for alternate anime recommendations, I point you towards Dead Man Wonder. Yeah, no, I'm not recommending another show that did not end for a season that did not end. That just does not make a lot of sense. What I really recommend is Future Diary. Less about the supernatural, but a lot of the same narrative themes and feelings that you get from watching the show still exist there as it does here. The second recommendation is a blind one, as I'm going off of a recommendation given to me without actually having seen the show myself. But it's worth mentioning that the currently airing series Parasite the Maxim might be worth your time. Could be crap though, full warning, but I figured it would be better than constantly repeating the same recommendations over and over again. So between those two, you should hopefully find something to your liking. And that's it for me. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, follow me on Twitter if you feel so inclined, and hey, if you like what I do here and feel the need to help out, please consider checking out my Patreon page. And if you feel it within your heart, please consider donating. Very special thanks to Jack the Nekomimitaku and Josh G for donating already. You guys are awesome. So until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.